Alright, good morning everybody. Let's hope that you guys can see me and that we have a good stream going. Let's see here if I can get this to work here. Alright, sorry I'm late everybody. It's one of those things. Lots of stuff happens around here, and yep. So anyway, I hope everybody's week went well. Alright, let's see once people start jumping on here if you can see me and hear me. I hope you can. Alright, can everybody see me and hear me okay? Let's see, it doesn't show anybody coming in just yet, but alright, so I'm going to give it a few more minutes and let people jump on here. We have been super busy this week. We have started taking things out of the office. We are going to be remodeling that room and turning it into one of the girls' bedrooms. They're going to have their own bedrooms. So now I am in a different location in the house. I am now in the living room where we have our desk and computer now. So I will be in a different location from now on. So anyway, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and let people kind of jump in here. Our topic today, excuse me, is going to be setting up a breeding program for your homestead. So that's what we will be talking about today, and hopefully we can have a good discussion today and get everything covered that I want to. I did not get a chance to put up a whole bunch of, or I did not get a chance to put my pictures on here. I was running really behind this morning, and so that just didn't happen. And I am going to have to apologize. I do have a cough, and I am going to excuse myself for 1 second. I am going to go get a glass of water real quick so that if I do start coughing on you guys, that it won't be driving you too crazy. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Alright, guys, thanks for hanging in there. Hello, Susan Sullivan. Thanks for stopping on in. As I was just saying, I've got a little bit of a tickle, so you guys are going to have to, a tickle in my throat, so you guys are going to have to put up with that today. I do apologize for that, but I can't help it. It's that time of year where the weather just is not cooperating. Hello. All right, guys. I'm going to give it another minute here, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. I do apologize for being late. Oh no, an asthma attack this morning. That really sucks. Hello, Icky. Icky Can. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm not very good at getting people's names correct. But anyway, so it's been a busy week here. I hope everybody's weeks went well. As I was just saying, we are remodeling the office, so now I am in the living room. As you can see, I have changed locations, and the girls are going to have their own separate rooms now. So anyway, okay, so another thing, Beulah, the poor darling, is still pregnant. She has not popped that calf out yet, and she just looks miserable. So anyway, that poor darling. Freya did go ahead and pass away. I'm still kind of on the fence of whether I want to make a video about that. I did take a video that day, and I just don't want to come off as I don't know, overly emotional, but it was really sad, and I was emotional. But I think I might go ahead and do it just because I do want people to see that it is not always sunshine and rainbows here on the homestead. Things do happen to some of your favorite animals, and it really sucks when it does. So anyway, hello. Everybody is doing fine here. We are currently almost finished with the lean-to that the cows will be living in. We just have to finish a section of the roof. We have to salvage some more tin off of this old shed that had collapsed. Excuse me, it was one of the ones that was here when we moved onto the property. So the rabbit tractor, I do have the batch of rabbits that I'm going to overwinter. I do have them in the rabbit tractor right now, and I did get the base put on it, so they are now going to be fertilizing my garden, and I'm rather excited about that. So the cows are enjoying their lean-to, and the calves especially, they like to sleep in there. So that is what's going on kind of this week. I don't have anything else written down. I don't really remember, but anyway, so it's been a little crazy, but okay. So the topic for this week, yes, Susan Sullivan, you do have to deal with death sometimes. It is part of life, and it is kind of the sucky part of life sometimes. So so the topic that I'm going to be discussing this week is setting up your breeding program for your homestead. And like I said, I don't have any pictures for you guys today. I do have one picture, and then the picture that you guys seen at the beginning, that was just kind of an old picture that I had of Jax. It's one of my favorite ones of him. So anyway, all right. So I can't tell you exactly how to run your own breeding program, but I can help explain a few of the common practices that go into the breeding of livestock and different things like that. So, hello, Wheat Tree Bonsai. Thanks for stopping in. All right. And there's several different avenues that you can take whenever you want to set up a breeding program, whether you're wanting to save a breed, or you just have a favorite breed and you want to continue raising it. You want to have your own stamp on that breed in the registries and things like that. So whether or not you choose to breed the registered livestock or create your own breed, I'm doing both of those here on the homestead. It's a lot of paperwork, but I enjoy it. So if paperwork is something that you really don't enjoy, it's something that you probably just every year purchase, or every few years, if you keep back a couple of daughters from the male animal that you have, replace your male animal every few years, and that's the easiest way to do it. You don't have to worry about records or anything like that. You just have animals there to help you in the process. So, all right. So, um, so whether you choose to do the livestock or create your own, um, your goal should be to create your own version of the perfect animal. Um, your end goal should be whether you whichever one you choose, your end goal should be the same, and that is to maintain or create a breed of animal that works for your own homesteading goals. Now, first of all, before you even get started, you want to know what your homesteading goals are. I have explained that in several different videos. That's one of the first things you want to do when you get your own homestead, is you want to set up your goals, where you want your farm to go, what you want your farm to look like, what you want to do with your farm. So know what your goals are and what you want in your homestead, and take those goals and turn it into a breeding plan for the animals that you have on your homestead. Now, a breeding plan can look so many different ways to so many different people, especially if you decide to work with an existing breed, or if you decide to create your own. With the chickens that I have decided to work with an existing breed. You guys have seen several pictures. That is the salmon Favrel breed. They are actually on a list on the Livestock Conservancy website. I believe that they are on the critical list. They have very low numbers, just because they have fallen out of popularity with the mainstream commercial industry. And when a breed does that, it really depends on, that breed's survival depends on individuals willing to maintain that breed, or the breed will die. And unfortunately, that's a lot of work that people have put into it, and a lot of genetic diversity that is lost when people or when breeds aren't maintained. All right. So, okay, so when you're working with an existing breed, there are different challenges and different advantages that you're going to have. Many breeds can trace their lineage back to a single individual with an exceptional amount of desirable traits for that breed. So a breed can go really, really far back, or it can be kind of a newer breed, but you can trace that animal all the way back to one of the original foundation stock usually. Depending on what it is you're looking at, it could be really far, or somewhere where it just doesn't take that long to find where that animal came from. Another thing, if you're going to be working with the registered livestock, you're probably going to want to have a copy of the breed standard. And the breed standard is so you know, you want to know what the breed association, which is where most of the records are kept. You turn your breeding program records, or you register an animal into a breeding program or an association that keeps all of the records from all over the world or country in one place, so that you can access those. The association will define what is the optimal traits each animal should adhere to as their standard of perfection. So each animal should at least adhere to some of the traits that are desirable for that breed. Okay. Now, they can vary from line to line, or breeding program to breeding program, but they should have a general sense of what that animal should look like, what that animal's size should be, the shape of the animal, the temperament usually of the animal. It kind of develops its own characteristics in certain breeds. So having the standard of perfection, or whatever it is that breed association defines as that, what that animal should be like. So you need to be very studied in that breed before you try and take it on, and know what you should be looking for. Now, in certain breeds, there are different variations of that breed. I know in the Hereford cattle, there are a lot of different variations when it comes to that. There are show stock, there are range stock, there are ones that do better in commercial feeding operations. There are ones that do better on the grass situation. So depending on where you get your animals and the specific region of the country that you get them from, their genetics are going to be just a little bit different. They're going to be tweaked to adhere to that region of the country or region of the world that they're from, which makes it where the genetic diversity is far great, and you can really kind of create your own specific animal, but still have to adhere to the breed standard. Some of the advantages of working with an established breed: all the legwork has been done for you. This breed has been created, it's stable, you can expect certain things from this breed. You just have to maintain the records from here on. That's all you have to do. So it's already been established, and the legwork has mostly been done for you. Susan Sullivan, I will address that here in just a minute. I'm going to talk about the different ways you can breed, inbreeding, line breeding, just different things like that. Anyway, so where was I? Today I did take some detailed notes because I don't want to confuse everybody, because this is a little bit intricate as far as some of the topics I'm going to cover today. So another advantage of using a breed that already exists is there is a variety of breeds that you can choose from, that the legwork has already been done. You can choose a breed that's going to adhere to that breed standard, and they're going to work for your farm. Somebody down in Texas is going to want to consider some Longhorns or some Brahma cows. Somebody in Alaska is going to want to go for a cold-loving breed, a hardy breed, like the Scottish Highlands. They're going to want to go with breeds like that really aren't bothered by the cold. So you can choose a breed that's going to adhere to your certain situations that you have. So excuse me, guys. I've got a tickle in my throat that's just wanting to bug me. And the beauty of it is there's a whole bunch of the heritage breeds that you can choose from, that almost all of them have their own unique characteristic. Each of them is known for something, and that really allows you to choose a breed that's going to work for your own homestead. Okay, let's see here. You can't see anything, Susan. Oh. Well, I hope you can see me now. Thank you, Urban Girl, for stopping in, even though you can't stay. I appreciate that. hello, all things good. Mr. Rain, welcome in. Thanks for stopping by. Susan, I'm glad you're back. Thank you for sticking with me. Internet out here is spotty at best. Okay, so some of the disadvantages of working with a breed that's already been established. And I'm going to talk more along the lines of the heritage breeds. Some of the breeds are very rare. If you choose a breed that is rare, you need to what's the word I'm looking for? You need to expect to pay quite a bit of money to get into that breed. Now, if you are going to be starting with a rare breed, many of the breeds that are on the critical list or something like that, you're going to be starting with very small populations of that breed, and you're going to have to really work hard at maintaining the vitality of that breed, so that if you have to use inbreeding or line breeding, you're not creating problems for that breed down the road. Because you can get into a lot of problems if you inbreeding mainly is the one that you're going to get into a lot of the problems, but sometimes that is the only way to save a breed. So know that if you're going to choose a breed that is very rare, you are going to have to put a lot of time and effort into finding some genetically diverse birds or pigs or whatever species it is you're getting into. And you're going to usually pay for that, because those people that are still maintaining those breeds, they have to be able to continue to maintain those breeds, and they have to be able to make a profit, or at least maintain where they don't have an enormous expense maintaining these breeds. So you are going to have to put your money where your mouth is sometimes. So even though they are an existing breed, you may be required to start from the ground up, like I just said. Some of them are extremely small populations, and you will have to do a lot of legwork in that department. All right. Hello, Rain Country Homestead. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for stopping in. Hey. Okay, so creating your own breed. Now, I'm doing this on my homestead. I'm not necessarily trying to create a breed. I'm trying to create, well, I guess it would be a breed. I'm taking several different breeds, and I am creating a rabbit that is going to do very well on pasture, that's going to finish out on pasture, that's going to be disease resistant. And I'm starting from the ground up. I am taking these different breeds and crossbreeding them, and taking the best of the best, and really trying to create something that's going to work for my homestead. I'm 5 years into this, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be with the rabbits that I'm creating, but I'm getting there. I'm seeing results. It takes several generations to alter a breed's genetics to where they're going to work for whichever situation that you're wanting to use them in. So, all right. Sorry, Susan, if you're having trouble seeing me. Everybody else is hearing me and seeing me okay, right? I hope. Okay, so let's see. Another advantage of creating your own breed is you have total control. You have total control over the individuals that you choose. You have total control over how you want this breed to be developed. You have total control over anything and everything. You can take your vision and make it a reality. Some of the downsides to creating your own breed is you are starting from the ground up. You are going to have a lot of setbacks. You're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of that going on. So, and it takes several years to get desired results or get the results that you want. Like I said, I'm 5 years into my rabbit breeding, and I'm just now starting to see some of the results that I'm wanting. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting there. You have to be a very patient person when you are creating your own breed. So another disadvantage is you have to take very detailed records. You need to take notes on animals. You need to anything that can help you later down the road, even if it's the smallest thing, like the weather conditions, how well the grass did, what types of grass were the animals exposed to, just different things like that, growth rates, depending on what you deem necessary for the breed that you're creating. You need to keep extremely detailed records, and that can get very daunting at times. And if you get behind, it creates and it snowballs and it creates a bigger mess, and then you just want to throw your hands up in the air and say, you know what, I give up. So hello Krista from Big Family Homestead, thanks for stopping in, I appreciate it. All right. Okay, so and another kind, it's a little bit of a disadvantage, but if you want your work to continue, if you want your breed to survive, you are going to have to bring other individuals on board that are willing to take on the responsibility of maintaining the breed that you've created. Because if you, 30 years down the road decide or can't continue anymore, if you don't have somebody to take over your work, it's one of those sad facts that a lot of breeds did go extinct that way. They died out because nobody was willing to take on the responsibility of keeping and maintaining that breed. So keep that in mind if you have people in your area that would be interested, or if you have people that would be willing to help you even start their own section and still adhere to the goals that you've set for your rabbitry, and you guys kind of working together. That is really good. You want to also, as you're working with your breed, you want to pay attention to what the markets are doing. Are people wanting rabbits that are going to be pastured rabbits? Around here, there's a decent market for it, and there usually always has been. So if you're going to want to create a rabbit that does well on pasture, but nobody wants to buy a pastured rabbit, you're really setting yourself up for failure. So you kind of want to look at around you and see what people are wanting. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm kind of reading here real quick. Oh no. That's not good, all things good. Says, we turned a buck loose with 4 does in the fenced chicken yard. Now we have does that have dug holes and 3 babies the buck killed. Yeah, bucks will do that. That's not good. Krista, I have a combination. Okay, so I started with 3 different breeds. I started with the Flemish Giant, the Californian, and the New Zealand White. Those are the breeds that I started with. And I have started breeding them and started running them on pasture. I started with 100% commercial rabbits, and they're considered crossbreds at this point. Whenever the end game, hopefully my end game is to create a rabbit that does well on grass, that grows out nice, that's has a lot of vigor, is very quick growing, very tasty. I should have brought my goals for that. I don't even know why I didn't do that, but anyway, excuse me. I hated them being in cages all the time. All things good, as long as the cages are appropriately sized for your rabbits, they should be fine. You can have like a playpen kind of thing that has edges around it or something that you let them go in and out of if you want them to have a little bit of different scenery every now and then. Hello, Teresa Dean. Thanks for stopping in. Okay, so, all right. Let me see here. I have lost my place here. Okay, so when you're breeding, there are several different avenues that you can take. Like I said before, you can just, if you want to just have the breed there, you can just purchase a bull or purchase a buck or purchase, whatever species you're working with. Purchase a male every few years. Or if you are keeping daughters back from that male, you want to get a new male and bring it in so that there is no inbreeding going on. Another way that people another thing that people do use is inbreeding. You have to be very careful when you're doing that. And then there's line breeding, which is usually the most popular way of breeding animals if you want to get a specific trait or have animals that are very breed specific. A lot of line breeding was done when creating breeds. So, all right. So there's a lot of terms that float around when you are getting into the breeding program. Sometimes they can get a little confusing whenever you are trying to get into it. So, and all the methods that I mentioned, there's no one breeding way that's right or wrong. And you just need to choose the one that's going to create or that's going to work for your homestead and what you as a person think is the best way to really work with an animal whenever you're breeding. So a breed, I defined that last time, but I'm going to go ahead and define it again. So a breed is a group of animals that share a common link in history, original ancestors, and overall body type, all of which work together to result in a reasonable degree of genetic uniformity. So if you take a salmon Faverolles rooster and stand him next to a Buff Orpington rooster, they're still chickens, but they're different versions of a chicken. So that's just the different breeds. You can cross those two and get an entirely different chicken. And that is what's called crossbreeding. It's when you mix two different breeds to increase the production by utilizing the best traits of each breed. So, say you want a bird that is going to be a good egg layer and meat producer. Well, you take a breed on the extreme spectrum of meat production, and you take a breed on the extreme production or egg production spectrum, and you breed those two together. Um, I don't know what you would get. That is one of those things where you really don't know what you're going to get, but hopefully, hopefully you will get a decent egg layer that has a good meaty carcass. Now, when you're dealing with chickens, that's what the dual purpose breeds are, is they are decent egg layers and they produce a good meaty carcass. So therein lies the working with an existing breed. That legwork has already been done for you. Those people started just like that, and they've kind of met in the middle. Now, the breeds that are known for their egg production have stayed to that one side of the extreme, and that is the egg production. When you get an egg production hen, you butcher her, you're not going to get you'll get some meat, but you're not going to get a lot of the meat that you would say you used a breed that, um, excuse me, a breed that is solely for meat production. You also have ones that are on the spectrum of ornamental. I call them ornamental, but a lot of people use them for their plumage, their feathers, to create jewelry and different things like that. So, sorry, I got distracted with the comments. So, anyway, you can have the same species, but in that species, you have the different breeds. So, selection. This is when a breeder allows certain animals to reproduce to shape the future of the breed by carrying on the desirable traits that that person sees fit. And within selection, there's a whole bunch of different traits that you can choose from. A lot of those traits are ones that are going to be desirable so that that animal can thrive in its environment, and it can really, you can put the least amount of effort and income into, and you get the maximum profit, or the maximum, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Anyway, you get far more what you get out of it than you have to put into it. So, all right. Let's see here. And some of those traits that you would want to consider, please keep in mind that certain species will require individual emphasis on desirable traits. But I'm going to kind of give you a broad overview of some of those desirable traits to consider when you are breeding animals. That's growth, vigor. Vigor is basically how strong an animal is, how well it's able to adapt to its environment, how active and live that bird is, or that rabbit is, or whatever species. Good structure. If you don't have a good structure on an animal, that animal is not going to be able to thrive. And what I mean by structure is the bone structure is put together correctly, and that animal is able to fully utilize its surroundings and fully utilize everything around it to help it thrive. Hardiness, that's another thing, kind of like vigor. It's about the same. If you have weather extremes, that it's not going to affect that animal as great as if an animal that is a little bit puny, doesn't have a great immune system. The really hardy animals are the ones that you're going to want to put into your breeding program. Longevity. Longevity just means, an animal that has performed exceptionally well over a long period of time. And a lot of times, that's where you're going to want to pull a lot of your seed stock from, or your breeding animals from, because those animals have had the opportunity to get sick. They've had the opportunity to become parasite ridden. They've had the opportunity to be predatorized. But yet they've still persevered and are still thriving and are still doing really well. So longevity is a very important thing to have. Even, a rabbit that kindles for a really long time, I know that some people have, some of these younger rabbits, they just give out on you. They stop kindling well. If you have a doe that kindles well into her later years, you really want to keep daughters and sons, especially sons, from that doe. That's going to give you a very good longevity to some of your animals. Okay, hang on. I think I had a question here. Do you breed meat rabbits or pets for sale? Teresa Dean, I do. However, I do not sell them as a pastured rabbit yet. I will eventually, whenever I consider them to be where I want them to be. I just sell people crossbreds, is what I sell them now. I've only had one person turn a rabbit into a house rabbit. And I did warn them that this rabbit will get very large and it will chew a lot. As far as most people have been really, I've got a lot of repeat customers that come back for more animals. So apparently they like my breeding stock. So when you have repeat customers, it's always kind of a really kind of a warm fuzzy feeling because you know what you're doing. People appreciate what you're creating. All right, let's see. Susan Sullivan. Okay, so all right, so with the rabbits, there is a there's individual rabbit registries for breeds, and then you have, oh, I forget what it's called. I haven't registered rabbits in so long. If anybody knows what it is, it's an association that keeps all of the registries from all of the different breeds, but a standard. And if they want to recognize a breed, they will go in and they will look at all of the records. They will look at the current animal. They will decide if that animal is or that breed, excuse me, is eligible to become a show, like a breed. And then you can start your own registry and have, all of that. That's a whole different ballgame. I don't plan on doing that. I don't know. It's one of those things where I haven't thought that far in the future. I guess I could if I wanted to, but for right now, the plans are not to do that. You just have to contact the associations and ask them. So, hello, Grizz. How are you today? Okay, so I have lost my place. Okay, yeah, I was talking about desirable traits. Another desirable trait to breed for is temperament. This really kind of shows up in the chickens. It's mainly the roosters. Some breeds, their roosters are known for being exceptionally aggressive. And some breeds are known for their roosters to be exceptionally docile. So temperament is kind of in the eye of the beholder. Some people are willing to put up with certain things, and some people are not. I am not willing to put up with an aggressive rooster. I have little kids around here all the time. I do not want a rooster getting flogged, or a child getting flogged by a rooster, to me, it's not worth having that animal around if they're going to be aggressive. I was flogged by a rooster once. He was an older rooster. He'd been really good all his life, and he had spurs on him, pretty good size. One day, I guess he just took a liking or a dislike to me, and he got me in the foot, right in the heel actually, and stuck his spur in my. He went in there quite deep, probably about that far in, and it was a really big deal because I was in a lot of pain for a long time, and he. The rooster was cold. Let's just put it that way. Dad was not happy, so Dad cold that rooster. And if he did it once, he was going to do it again. So, let's see here. Uh, Rain. Yep. Chickens, you'll absolutely love. You'll fall in love with chickens. They're very addicting. Um, and that's one of those things where you just got to do your research. Yeah. Yes, Susan, that's when they go into the crock pot, when they get aggressive. Roosters especially. Yeah. Let's see. All right, so another desirable trait, um, disease resistance. You want an animal that you're not going to have to worm all the time. An animal that is going to be able to protect itself against all of the diseases that can happen. Now, you can dramatically reduce diseases or infestations of, say, worms or parasites and things by your own practices. But if you have animals that are more resistant to it, it really helps you out, and a lot of the legwork is taken out of it. Fertility. Fertility is a big thing because if you have animals that are not fertile, those animals are not going to be able to reproduce. So it takes out of um, the importance of um, maintaining the breed if you can't reproduce that breed. So um, some specific ones, like for sheep, fleece quality. Now, that's not going to adhere to every sheep because there are hair sheep and there are fleece sheep or wool sheep. Um, you know, the quality, if you're a spinner or somebody that creates their own wool or yarn, you're going to want something that has quality. You're not going to want something that's got a lot of guard hairs in it. Like with the alpacas, some of them have a lot of guard hairs. You don't want that. That makes garments itchy. Who wants that? With rabbits, litter size. You don't want a rabbit that's going to have small litters all the time. You know, you want something that's going to produce for you. With cows or goats, milk yield is important. If you own a dairy, you don't want a cow that's not going to produce enough to pay her feed bill. You know, there's no point in keeping her around if she's not going to pay her own way. And egg production in the chickens. That's another trait that you're going to want to keep an eye on. So, egg production or growth. You know, going back to the growth rates with many different animals. That's important with many different species of livestock. If you're not going to have an animal that's going to grow right, then you're not going to have, if it's not going to grow quickly and efficiently, then you're going to be losing money. And that is something that you just can't have if you want to have a sustainable homestead. Okay, so another way of breeding your animals is going to be line breeding. That is the mating of close relatives. Inbreeding. Excuse me. That is the mating of close relatives. Usually, those relatives are going to be siblings or mother, daughter, father's. No, excuse me. That's not right. Father, daughter, mother, son. those are going to be your extremely close close matings. And the closest one, the closest mating that you can have is brother sister. So um, anyway, so there's also excuse me, guys. There's also line breeding. Now this is not. It's kind of like inbreeding, but not to the extent of inbreeding. It arranges matings so that one or more um, related animals occur more than once in the line, but avoid closely related animals, which means you're going to be breeding cousins, aunts, uncles, different things, different pairings like that. They're not going to be father, daughter, brother, sister. Now you have to pay attention to a lot of the traits, because sometimes it can really drag a breed down if the inbreeding and the line breeding isn't closely monitored. A lot of times, usually by the sixth generation, you're going to want to bring in an outside line to really vamp up and revitalize the genetics of that line, because you can only get them so close before you really start seeing problems and issues with some of the offspring. So culling. Culling just means any animal that is not breeding stock quality. Not every animal needs to be a breeding animal. If they do not possess the desired traits that you want, the desired oh good grief. the what you're desiring, if they do not possess those things, then they should be a animal that is for consumption. Now, you may have very strict standards, but those standards still adhere to the breed that you're working with. So, sell those animals to somebody that has inferior stock. That's going to boost their stock, and it's going to ensure that the breed has some very good individuals, but yet they don't meet your standards. And when you're breeding, you want to keep the animals, the very, very best animals, for yourself. You breed the best to the best, or, strengths to weaknesses, where, say, you have a cow that she is not, her genetic line does not have a great milk production line. Well, you're going to want to take her and breed her to a bull where the milk production is very strong in that trait. So strengths to weaknesses, best to best, those are some of the ways that you can really help a breed out. Outcrossing is another term you're going to hear. That is breeding of unrelated animals. That really helps when you are creating with line breeding. That really helps. You take two different animals from two different genetic backgrounds, but they're the same breed, and then you create a line from that. Let's see. Crossbreeding just simply means you mix two different breeds together, and their offspring will usually, or this is what you hope will happen, they will utilize the best traits of that animal and really create an animal that is very vigorous and very fast growing. And normally when you're using the crossbreeding, you are going to be a breeder that is just breeding for consumption only. So crossbreeding really is one of the ways you can utilize a specific breed and take that breed and be able to create something that's going to work well, that's going to grow fast, that's going to be able to be market ready quickly. So anyway, those are some of the things that you're going to hear whenever you're breeding animals. A few things that you're going to want to try and avoid when you are breeding animals, and that is playing favorites. What I mean by that is no matter how beautiful an animal is or how nice an animal is, if they're your favorite, if they don't meet your standards of perfection, meet your goals, do not put that animal in your breeding population. That is, it's one of those you kind of get blinded. You get blinded, and you cannot do that whenever you are wanting to create or maintain a breed. If that animal is subpar, keep it as a pet. Don't keep it as breeding stock. Let's see here. Oh, well. Also, I don't have it written down, but I remember this. When you're breeding, try not to overuse one animal. You will shoot yourself in the foot, and you'll end up with all animals all of your breeding stock is related to that one animal, and inbreeding will ensue. And try not to use your favorite animal too much. He may be the best one in your pen, but you can only use them for so long, and you can only use them for so many different things. All right. Who's not being family friendly? Grizz, is that you? Family friendly, please. All right. Next thing I got to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you an example here of a line breeding system, because that's what I'm going to be using with my chickens, my salmon faverels that I'm going to start line breeding. So here you go. I made, oh, that's Jack's. Sorry. I made this up. I hope it's not too confusing for you guys, but this is an example of line breeding. You're always family friendly, Grizz? I don't know. Sometimes. No, I'm kidding. That's okay. Mr. Rain, you can be as involved as you want to be with this. You can just, it really depends on how much you're willing to do, how much you're wanting to get involved. Me, I like I like the idea of helping a breed out. I like the idea of creating my own. So it really just, it's individual. So we treat Jax is a excuse me, he's a Great Pyrenees, and they are my favorite breed. I grew up with them. They do a very good job. There are a lot of different breeds out there that you can use for livestock guardians. They do have a tendency to roam some, so you early training, you need to emphasize where they need to stay, and you really need to let them know that they're only allowed to be in this area. Otherwise, you're not happy with them, and they usually try to please you, but they were bred to be independent thinkers, so it's a little challenging when you're trying to make a livestock guardian dog, whether it be a Great Pyrenees or an Anatolian or whatever, a Commodore. They're bred to think for themselves, so it's training them. If you've ever had a livestock guardian dog, you know it's exceptionally hard to get them to train them. So it's usually instinctual with them. Okay. All right. Okay, so here we have an example of a line breeding system. Now, the first part of a line breeding system, you are going to be inbreeding some, but as you've moved further down the line, you're going to notice that you get farther away from that. So your first generation, if you can see up there at the top, you have 2 individuals. They are the red and the burgundy and the blue. And you're going to mate those two animals to create your second generation, which is the 50-50. You can see there that next circle down. Okay, so your next generation that you're going to want to create is you're going to take your animal that is, it's going to be, let's see here. Hang on one second. I've got it written down here so that I don't extremely confuse you guys. All right, so the next pairing, you're going to have daughter to father and son to mother. And that is represented by the solid line. And their offspring are going to represent 25% of the original foundation animal and 75% of the original foundation animal. And that is going to be your third generation. So you're going to take your second and first generations to create your third generation. Your next pairing in a line breeding situation is going to be granddaughter to grandfather and grandson to grandmother. And that is represented by the dashed lines up there. And their offspring, which is going to be your fourth generations, are going to represent 12% of the original foundational animal and 87% of the original foundational animal. You can also breed the granddaughter to the grandson, which is represented with the stars right there. On the third generation, you'll see the two that are linked with stars, and that'll create that middle circle there in your fourth generation of breeding pairs. So, all right, so here we go. I know that this can get really confusing, guys, and I'm trying really hard to explain it to you guys. You can get this. I just drew this up this morning, but you can find this table anywhere. I just figured the different lines would kind of help explain it to you guys. So, all right, so your next pairing is going to be great-granddaughter to great-grandfather and great-grandson to great-grandmother. Now, those pairings are represented by the little dots. So your fourth generation is going to be bred back to your first generation. And those are going to create a whole bunch of different things. But those, the great-granddaughter to great-grandfather, those are going to represent, those offspring are going to carry 18% of the original foundation animal and 81% of the other original foundation animal. So you can also breed your, I lost my place. This is, okay, so as you can see, the different combinations that you can create by doing this, you create a lot of genetic diversity with very small populations. This is how a breed can be saved, or breed can be brought back. Now, you see down there by the sixth generation, the different percentages that you can have of different lines that you've created. Now, by the sixth generation, you're going to want to bring in an outside genetics and kind of mix those in just a little bit. Usually, most breeders will bring in a female to help that out, but you can certainly bring in whichever you like. You want to be able to keep your genetics to where they're very vigorous. Too much inbreeding or too much line breeding can really hinder your overall goals of healthy, good animals. So, okay, I'm not keeping up with any of the comments here. Sorry, guys. So if you ask me a question, go ahead and ask me again, and then maybe I can see it. Okay, so now each species is going to need their own identification so that you can keep your records accurate, and you can keep things kind of organized. Oh, you guys are silly. All right. So with pigs, the most common way to keep them organized is ear notching. They also do tattooing of their ears, but ear notching is the most common practice with pigs. With rabbits, cattle, goats, sheep, and horses, the most common way to keep track of those animals is by ear tattooing, and that is the easiest way to keep track of your lines that way. Okay, and keep your records accurate. For poultry, which are the ducks, geese, chickens, turkeys, things like that, the most common, there's two different ways that you can do that, and the two most common ways for those are leg bands and then toe punching are different ways that you can do that. So anyway, are there any questions, or have I confused you guys beyond belief? I hope I haven't. But so the reason I wanted to talk about setting up a breeding program on your homestead is because I really feel that having a breeding program on your farm is one of the greatest ways to achieve self-sustainability, whether it be animals or vegetables. I mean, people use plant breeding all the time to, with their crops. It's like I said, to me, this is what it is to me, is the it's a really great way to be self-sufficient. You can create your own animals. You don't necessarily have to be this detailed. Like I said, you can bring in a different male every time, and you're able to sustain what you have by breeding your own animals. So with that, yes, we tree bonsai, they do tattoo horses' mouths as well. But a tattoo is generally the way that they will identify a horse, is a tattoo, whether it be in their ear or their mouth. Donna S., I have no idea if Maria is on. I did not get a chance to look at that. But I'm not sure. Okay, so I think that's about all I had for you guys today. I hope you have success in your breeding programs if you decide to start one, or if you just have your animals there and you do decide to raise little ones. It's a great way for self-sustainability. So I think I have rambled on enough. It's 12:18. I did start out late, so I'm not too far off my time. Were there any other questions for me? If not, you can always come over to the YouTube channel and ask me any question. I will answer it to the best of my ability, and if I do not know the answer, I will know somebody that knows the answer. That's one of those deals where when you have a great community around you, if you don't know the answer, you know where to look for the answer, that somebody in your community is going to know it. So I wondered about worms between horns of older male sheep. I don't know anything about that, Donna. I haven't had a sheep in my possession or anything like that since I was 9. I owned a couple of ewes when I was 9 years old. That is the last time I've had sheep in my possession. I could possibly find that out for you. I don't know. I know a couple of people that might know that question and the answer to that question. Thank you, Weetree, for all the work you've done this time. I appreciate it. It's always a big help to have a good moderator like you around. Anyway, okay, so no more questions. Thank you, Mr. Rain, for your compliment. I appreciate that. I don't know everything, but I certainly know a few things about a lot of things. So, and I try to bring you guys accurate information if I can. And anyway. Yeah, Donna, I know it's hard for a lot of people to make the daytime show, but this is the time that works best for me. So night times are usually busy feeding, and I've got a ton of other different things to do, and it's just easier for me to take time out of my day than my evenings. So, oh, sorry, Weetree. Who's the other mod in here right now? I don't think I've seen. Who is? Oh, Rain. I'm sorry. I forgot you were here. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rain, for being a moderator today as well. Oh, I did not mean to exclude you. I do apologize, Rain. You are a very good moderator as well. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys today, and I hope you have a good week. Hopefully next week I'll have a lot of pictures for you guys. I didn't have any for you this week. I ran out of time, was running behind, and all that. So, all right, guys. You guys have a good week, and I will see you next Monday. Are there any, actually, before I go, are there any suggestions on a topic for next week? Anything you guys want me to talk about? Let me know. If not, I'll choose something and bore you guys to death with it. So. Oh, hi, Tina. I don't think I said hi to you earlier. Thanks for stopping in. Teresa, what else do I do on my farm? I have a garden that I raise. I raise animals for consumption. I also raise them for breeding stock. I am working on several different projects. I am currently trying to, this next year, one of my main focuses is really going to be trying to get my pasture rotations set up. We have been working towards that goal of doing some pasture rotations. I am working, this next year I'm going to be starting the breeding program for my salmon faverels. I got them last year, and then I'm letting them, get up to size, and I really want to be able to evaluate the animals to where it's fair for them, because some do mature a little bit differently than others. So I'm working with some breeds. I'm working on creating my own line of rabbits. Yeah, that's about it. Cook something for us on the show. Okay, that I don't think that'll be possible because I have a desktop computer. I don't have a way of getting you guys into my kitchen, but I can certainly share a recipe with you. I am going to be making some of my holiday cookies today. Every year I make about 500 cookies or so and send them to my husband's work. I spoil the guys at his work and make them Christmas cookies every year. I could possibly do that. Share that recipe. It is a recipe that my grandmother has made for a long, long time. It is a very fantastic recipe. I'll try and do that. I'll try and share that with you guys next time, Christmas cookie recipe. I also have another recipe that I'm making. It's oatmeal cookies. It's also my grandmother's recipe, and they are to die for. They are the best oatmeal cookies you will ever taste in your life. So, cold hardy livestock. That is a very, very good. Maybe I could do something like a breed highlight or something on different animals. Maybe I might do that. Highlight a breed or something, especially one that I'm working with. I can do that. All right. What kind of cookies? Oh, they're kind of like a sugar cookie, but not quite a sugar cookie. They're really good. And then the oatmeal cookies, those are oatmeal cookies. So, all right, guys. I really am going to go this time. And I will see you guys next week. And thanks for stopping in. I appreciate each and every one of you that stopped in. Oh, sorry. Homestead Network. All right. Tonight. Hang on. I got to pull it up here. Tonight. Well, maybe. If the internet's going to work. Usually I have it written down. Sorry, guys. I don't have it written down. I just had it pulled up. Pulled up in the correct window, so go figure, right? You're going to have Robin with her essential oils class. And I want to make sure I get the right times here so I don't screw that up. Well, sorry guys. Wheatree, is there any way that you could post that, what time Robin, and then Freedom Acres is also, there's Freedom Acres, she's on, and then Essential Oils class with Robin is on after that. So check out the homesteadnetwork.com. You can get a list of the show times and all of the wonderful channels that are listed there. So please go check that out. And anyway. Yeah, I know, Teresa, that there's nobody after my show, but I've got 3 batches of cookies to do. So my day is very busy today, so I've got to get going. But all right. What launched my interest into farming? Well, I was born into the lifestyle, and I've loved it all my life, and still love it. I have a video on that, actually, Mr. Rain. It's part of my So You Want to Homestead series that I have on my channel. And it's called, what's that video called? It's called, My Story, I think. I don't remember. It's part of my So You Want to Homestead series. It is a lot of hard work, Teresa, keeping up a homestead. It is. But I don't mind it. It's, you know, part of my life's work, I guess you can call it. So, anyway. She's got work. Yes, I do have work. So, I am for real going to say bye this time, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.